Hi. So, welcome. Welcome to the GST lectures. So, in this lecture today, so I would like to highlight the importance of supply, because supply is such a term, such an important concept that everything revolves around it. So, what is supply? That has been defined under CGST Act, and obviously that would be there under, either it would be there under SGST Acts passed by the state assemblies, or they would simply give reference to CGST Act. Supply has been defined under section 7 of the CGST Act, and it is an inclusive definition. Now obviously it is subject to a lot of litigation. A lot of litigation is going to ensue, that we should be ready for that. And in the meantime, first of all, what is the significance of supply under the GST? So I tell you, I think, I feel and believe that supply is one of the most important concepts. One of the most important concepts under GST law, whether it is CGST, SGST or IGST or UTGST, whatever GST you talk about, you name it and you have it, but supply is supply. And the definition of supply is applicable everywhere, wherever GST you talk about. You know, basically, we are on the verge of going into updation of indirect tax laws. So, in the updation process, we are going to have what we can say a dual model GST or triple model GST, you can say. Triple GST means central GST, state GST and integrated GST. If you want to add one more, that is union territory GST. Of course, union territory GST and state GST, you don't find any difference except the title, change in title. So, at least we can say not even dual model GST, we have triple GST model. And in this the triple GST model, which is unique in the world, because such a unique model is not available anywhere in the world. Value added taxation system is there. We have adopted the value added taxation system only, but at the same time the model is somewhat unique. So, first of all, you see, supply. I am not going into the details of what is supply, because supply is such a all encompassing wide term, it is only inclusive and there can be so many other things which can be. So, first and foremost thing that we have to understand is, there is a paradigm shift in taxability, because the taxable event now under the GST regime is supply. Under the GST regime, supply is the taxable event. Earlier, you see, there is plethora of taxable events. Say, there are so many taxable events, like you see, under excise, it is manufacture. Manufacture is the taxable event where excise duty is being imposed on manufacture. And service was the taxable event where service tax was being imposed by central government. And similarly, you talk about imports. Besides basic custom duty, of course, that is unique, that is already there and it would continue to be there. Besides BCD, we have been collecting CVD and special CVD, that they are additional duties of customs. One is in lieu of excise and another in lieu of sales tax. But so import is a taxable event, and similarly, if you look at the state level, so many sales, local sale or interstate sale. So in case of intrastate sale, VAT is being imposed, whereas For interstate sale, CST is being imposed. So sale is a taxable event. And similarly, if you talk about, so many things are there. If you talk about sales, say state government laws, say entry is a taxable event or entertainment is a taxable event. Like this, so many things. Luxury is a taxable event. Purchase is a taxable event. Like this, so many taxable events. So at state level, there are so many indirect taxes for which there were different taxable events. So the taxable event practically is an event or situation which gives rise to tax liability. So when you manufacture, it gives rise to tax liability, that is called excise duty. And similarly, and in excise also so many varieties, additional duties of excise are there, and other things like surcharges, cesses put together, so many things are there. So what happened to these taxable events? When you talk about taxable event of manufacture, service, import, sales, entry, entertainment, luxury, and others, so many others are there. So what happened to this? All these taxable events are subsumed under one single taxable event, that is supply. Now we don't talk about manufacture, you don't talk about sale, you don't talk about service, simply talk about supply. So if you provide service, it is a supply of service. If you manufacture goods, it is a supply of goods. Manufacture and deliver. And if you sell goods, whether intrastate or interstate, say it is supply. You are supplying. So there are two things, either you are supplying goods or supplying services, or sometimes a combination of both. Okay? Supply of goods, supply of services, or supply of both goods and services. So it is supply, 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 supply. Everything is subsumed. All these things are subsumed under single taxable event, that is supply. So that is the reason why, because everything is supply, all under one roof. Right? So that is one thing. Plethora of taxable events and subsuming of all these things under one concept, taxable event, that is supply. And secondly, if you look at this, tax compliance under GST, second reason what I see, number one reason is plethora of taxable events, plenty of taxable events. So many taxable events were there. Now, it's not like this, all under one roof, only one thing. And secondly, tax compliance, tax administration, tax compliance, etc. See, once there is a taxable event of supply, then it is necessary. What is going to happen? So, start with, you are a taxable person or trader, dealer, whatever it is, where you are liable to pay tax under the new regime of GST. So first of all, what you have to see is, you have to check up whether the given one is intrastate sale, intrastate supply, when the supply is intrastate or interstate, or you can say intra UT, union territory. Of course, union territory, state, they are taken as synonymous. So if it is intrastate, if it is intra UT, union territory, or interstate, the procedures are different, the approach is different, and you ought to know. You ought to know whether your supply is falling under this or this, and accordingly the levy, accordingly the taxes. Say for example, if it is intrastate, you know, you are concerned with state government, and which state government, that you have to look into, where you have to look into the place of supply. So to begin with, if it is an intrastate, then there are taxes. So here the question is, taxes are central GST plus state GST. Obviously, your registration process, you are monitored by state government mostly. So it is, you have to get yourself registered, you have to comply with all these things with this state government for these matters. So here, registration, submission of returns, payment of tax, all these things you have to take care of. And same is the case with intra union territory. If it is a supply within the union territory and you are here. And similarly, if it is interstate. So interstate, again, now it is central government. Now you are under the close monitoring of central government. So central government means, again, what are the tax is different, integrated GST. So you have to pay integrated GST here. See whether a particular supply is intrastate or interstate, that you have to determine. You have to determine, naturally, you have to look into the provisions, particularly I tell you sections 7, 8 and 9. Section 7, 8 and 9 of integrated GST law. Of course, it is yet to become operative. It was passed by the parliament and state governments are passing, and it obtained the assent of the president. It took no time. The only thing pending is just the date. We know the date also, there is no suspense. It is 1st July. So, section 7, 8 and 9 of integrated GST Act gives the glimpse, the idea. See the nature of supply, whether that is intrastate or interstate, in what condition, under what circumstances it is to be treated as interstate, and what conditions or circumstances it is intrastate. These we have to refer to. So nature of supply is important, because you know the draconian but inevitable principle under the new GST is, just to try to get my point. Suppose by mistake in interstate transaction, by mistake you have treated it as intrastate and you have paid CGST and SGST. But one fine day you came to know, or the department brought it to your notice, either way. So it was interstate transaction supply, but you have by mistake you have taken this as intrastate, then you paid this. So now you have to pay this also. You have to pay this, because you have to pay IGST, you did not pay. Now immediately you have to pay with interest, because there is a delay. So there is a case of double taxation. What about this? Will this not be adjusted against this? No, because India is a federal state. Government has not come to that level where it can make inter-adjustments between center and states. No, they did not develop such a mechanism. If they want, they can do, but a little more IT effort. But the government doesn't want to. Adamant. No. You pay now. You pay, and you apply for refund here. So you know, in indirect taxes, applying for refund is like going to. It is an uphill task. It is going on foot to Vaishno Devi in Jammu, or it is going on foot to, what we can say, Tirupati, going on foot, not by bus. You are climbing. It is an uphill task, because there is something called the doctrine of unjust enrichment, and you have to prove that you did not pass on the burden, means that you did not collect the amount from your customer. So many things are there. So there is a case of double taxation. So you have to be very careful. You have to find out whether my supply is interstate or intrastate. Let there be no mistake. This mistake can be very expensive also. So that's the reason why supply is very important. And similarly, next, if you look at the other case, next step is tax. So what is it? So, place of supply. Supply of goods, supply of services. So, where the supply took place, the place of supply is so important, I tell you. You should be very careful. If you are in industry, working in an industry, or you are a professional, or you are a student, it doesn't matter. It doesn't spare anyone. You ought to understand very clearly whether the supply was made in a taxable territory or non-taxable territory. Of course, we know by now that this IGST Act or CGST Act or whatever it is, these are not applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but don't be under an impression that Jammu and Kashmir is out of GST. No, it is knitted together. It is a part of India as far as IGST implementation is concerned, but the only thing is by virtue of Article 370, they are making their own laws in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, State Assembly, but they will be making laws in accordance with the laws made by other states, and they become a part of all this activity because they cannot live in they cannot deal in isolation. It's not possible. Okay. So here, say where the supply took place. Why? It has two implications. Number one, suppose the supply took place, if it happens to be in a non-taxable territory, there is no levy. If it happens to be a taxable territory, there is a levy. So, number one, unless it falls, unless it happens to be out of India, based on the principles given here, it is taxable. That's one part. Second part is, the significance is for goods and services, because now we are running an integrated law. We are implementing an integrated law both for goods and services. Earlier, there were separate laws for goods and separate laws for service. There was no integration, there was no nothing. Now, for goods, what are the principles involved? So, here sections say for goods, you can say right here, you have to refer section 10, section 11, and for services section 12 and 13 in particular. 14 not very much relevant. So, for goods, say if it is other than import or export, it is section 10, Deshi, indigenous. If it is import or export, you have to refer to section 11, and in case of services, section 13, 12 read with section 13. Section 12 is like place of provision of services rules 2012 under the earlier scheme. So, you have to refer to these things, very, very important. Thereby you will be finding out whether this supply of goods or services, as the case may be, happen to be in a taxable territory or non-taxable territory, or happen to be in interstate or intrastate. Why? Because there is a lot of significance. Why? Because you know, now GST is a destination based consumption tax. So, this is a destination based consumption tax. What do you mean by this? Tax ultimately is reaching that authority, that government where the consumption takes place. The place of supply signifies, actually place of supply signifies place of delivery, place where the goods have been delivered. You can say, you can take it that way, subject to few exceptions. So, for example, somebody supplied goods in the state of Andhra Pradesh, say Vijayawada, and the goods reached Telangana, that is Hyderabad. So from Vijayawada to Hyderabad, it is interstate supply because it is between two states. So interstate. The question is, as per the guidelines given, say for example section 10, general principle is the supply took place, the place of supply is Hyderabad, that is Telangana. It's not origin, it is destination. So where does the tax go? Who will collect the tax? Who will retain the tax? See, Vijayawada is, say, you can say manufacturing state. Andhra Pradesh is a manufacturing state and Telangana is a consumption state. Earlier, the tax, particularly sales tax, used to go to the state of AP. And in the state of Telangana, no credit, nothing. There was a incidence of cascading effect. Now, there is a radical change. Because Telangana is the consuming state, consumption state, the tax will go to the state of Telangana. Of course, central share is intact, whether it happens in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana or Tamil Nadu, central government is always getting its share, but it is the state government whose stake is involved. Now, place of supply, that is consumption state, place of supply is Telangana, the amount will go to Telangana government. So, how significant it is? It is necessary to determine the place of supply and accordingly the tax will go. So, if it is, so in this particular example, say for example from Vijayawada to Hyderabad, for this particular example, this is an interstate supply. Two states are involved. So, IGST, no doubt, in this CGST portion plus SGST portion is there, but put together single tax, and the tax is called IGST. Now IGST is collected. Then neither AP government nor Telangana government is collecting anything right now in this particular context as per this GST law. So who is collecting? It is central government. Central government is collecting, and which has IGST portion and CGST portion and SGST portion, and CGST portion, no doubt central government will retain, and SGST portion it will transfer to state of Telangana because it is a consumption state, and the recipient, the buyer or recipient of the supplies in Telangana, that is Hyderabad, he will take ITC, input tax credit, of the tax the IGST he paid. How he can utilize? There is a scheme. So now it is not an interstate sale or something like that. It is interstate supply and IGST is paid, and the IGST portion will go to the consumption state, and the receiver of these supplies is eligible to take ITC. Earlier under the existing system, it was not possible. Now it is possible. So it is very, very important. Suppose if it happens to be a local supply or intrastate supply, then CGST, SGST separately that is payable, and this portion will go to central government, that portion will go to state government. And state government credit it cannot be used against the CGST payable and vice versa. If you have an ITC of CGST, you cannot use it to pay SGST. That issue is there, but in case of IGST, issue is not there. So cross utilization of credits, all these things are involved. So whether it is interstate or intrastate, so significant because the supply you have to understand. The other important aspect of supply is the time of supply. So time of supply, at what point of time supply was made, where the supply was made, it is there. At what point of time the supply is made, that has been basically provided under the rules and similar to point of taxation rules. Then what happens? Some provisions are there under the laws, no doubt. These are like point of taxation rules that signifies, that determines actually the timing of levy. So when should a charge be made, point of taxation. So, supply, for it being a taxable event, then determination of nature of supply and determination of place of supply and then determination of point of supply. So, what is supply? What are the things involved in supply? You see plethora of things. And which type of supply is it of the nature of intrastate or interstate? Again important, because you have to pay tax, you have to make tax compliances, filing of returns, all these things, disputes, seeking refunds, all these things, with which authority or which government you have to do these things, and plus place of supply, where it happened, to find out which tax you have to pay again, and when did it happen, when it happened. So, timing for the tax liability, levy, and also consequently the payment of tax. So, for all these things, supply is all important. That is the reason why I say supply, the concept of supply is one of the most important, significant things, concepts under GST law. I think you are able to understand, you are able to get the concept, and I would like to introduce so many things recording. I would like to record and upload so many things under GST which are of importance and relevance to you, and if you like it, you please subscribe to this and you will continue to get similar video lectures. Thank you. All the best.